Hey, good morning. Welcome to Odd Musings, episode number 324.
324.
Yep.
And potentially the last day of summer today.
Oh,
In
yeah.
the mid 80s.
Well, this is, as I've been dubbing it all week, faux summer.
Faux summer. Yep.
F-A-U-X.
Well, in the old days, growing up, this would be called Indian summer, but I don't think we're allowed to call it that anymore.
Well, actually, Indian summer is still a term, but it has requirements. And one of them is an Indian summer happens after we've had our first frost, and then it goes back up into the 70s. So, because we have not had a frost, it's not Indian summer.
Okay.
So,
very cool. I did not know that technicality.
Yeah, I learned that several years ago watching the news.
What's the quote? Well, look at the big brain on Brett.
Yep, damn right.
Pulp Fiction, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's that's kind of what it is. So a lot of people talk, oh, it's Indian summer. It's like, nope. We didn't have a frost yet. Now, we
so is this late for a frost?
Not really. I mean, it's.
I feel like growing up, because my birthday's in October. I feel like growing up, Indian summer was always right around my birthday.
Yeah, and a lot of times it is, but it's like the average high around now. I was going to actually pull it up here. For October it shows about like for the whole month is like 63, but realistically right now we should be still like 60s, 70s, as typical low 70s. But it varies from year to year, because there's some years I remember you get a colder September, and I've literally seen it in September where it's gotten so cold it snowed. It's just flakes, right? But nothing big deal. But it was cold enough for like high 30s, low 40s where you start seeing that. But now it's for the frost, it varies. So
with the Detroit Marathon, that's usually the weekend before or after my birthday, depending on how the calendar falls.
No.
And I've had it where there's been snowflakes at the start of the race.
Yeah.
So definitely can get cold though for snow in October.
Yeah, and October is always weird in Michigan because, like I said, I've seen it where it's like nice and warm. The first weekend, then the second weekend it's freezing, and then Halloween shows up and it's back up to like 70 again, and
right.
And then or we've got like a foot of snow. I mean, you never know what you're going to get really here in this day and age with everything. I mean, weather's the way it is, and it's funny. No matter what it is, I don't care if it snows 90 degrees or whatever. It's all because y'all use plastic straws.
Yeah. Right.
That's what they all say every time. It's like, oh, this is because of global warming. I used to be global warming. Well, now they don't call it global warming. It's just called climate change. It's like, you know what? The climate changes all the time, morons.
That's right.
I love how they like to show, see here, like 50 years ago, it wasn't this hot. It's like, yeah. And if you really go back and look 100 years ago, it was like 90 something degrees,
like growing up, they keep talking about like that, like it was record highs. Growing up in the 70s, even early 80s, we would have multiple days where the true temperature would break 100 multiple times in the summer. It's rare now for a true 100-degree day.
Yeah.
We'll get it with the real feel.
Yeah.
But we won't have like 5 days of 100 degrees and up. We had that growing up.
Well, I mean, we had, it all varies. And the thing is with the weather and all that stuff, it always gets me is they always like to act like it's because of whatever we want to use for the excuse. We're all using plastic straws. We did, back in the 80s, we had to stop using paper bags to save the rainforest, and that's why we had to use plastic. Now we got to go back to using paper bags to save the sea turtle. And it's always something here that really what it boils down to is how much money can they make, and that's usually what it boils down to.
The real answer,
ridiculous.
The real answer is two factors. One is the North Atlantic current.
Mm-hmm.
That goes on a 20 to 25-year cycle of global temperatures increasing to a 20 to 25-year cycle of them decreasing and back and forth. That's factor number one on a local level. And on a grander scale, it's the temperature of the sun. Most years that we have record high years and record low years in our planet, the other planets also have record highs and lows because the sun is a powerful heat source.
Yeah.
And it's not like a mechanical device where you just set it and it stays at the precise temperature. It fluctuates by millions of degrees, so that affects us too.
Yeah.
But let's, better off to sell off our rights and destroy our economy in the name of Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, yeah, I still think that's a 30-year-old woman, but hey, so you know.
Yeah. So so we have another show here, 324. Should
Yeah, yeah.
we get those out?
Yeah, let's knock those out real quick here. Go on, why don't you get it started?
All right. Our first sponsor is Team Titans Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. Even though we utilize the latest in tools and technology to maximize your home buying and selling experience, we never forget at SCORE, it's a people business. That's right. Go figure. People. We actually care about those. Which, it seems weird to say that, but I am amazed at how many agents nowadays don't ever talk, don't make phone calls, don't answer their phones. We're trying to make offers, trying to call agents. They'll just, I'm busy, send me a text. Personal communication is so important to this industry. And it's been a rough year for a lot of agents. I do predict we're going to see about a 50% drop in agents this year over the winter as renewal fees and everything comes up for from our industry groups. So I do believe we're going to see a big drop off. So, but Team Titans, we're having a record year for ourselves. And because we do put our customer service first, the vast majority of our business has been return business from past clients or referrals from those clients. Why? Because they trust the service we give. And we want to give that same great service to you. So I posted the phone number in the comments there. 586-232-5144 is our hotline. Give us a call. We give you the honest and straight answer. Our job is to inform you so you can make the best decision possible. And that's what we do. We just give it to you straight and let you make the decision. So Jill and I are here for you. Give us a call.
All right, we also have Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC, located in Belleville, Michigan, and Dexter, Michigan. And they take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient. Yes, if you call them, they will answer if they were there. They don't tell you to text them back or email them, or they'll try to get back to you later because they don't feel like talking to you when you call. Unlike
Right.
ridiculous realtors. But yeah, you can give them a call at 734-697-4244. They offer all the chiropractic stuff you need. They're introducing a lot of new stuff. I couldn't even get into what they're doing because it's so different and changed than what I'm used to. But I tell you this, it's been one of the best things I did was going to chiropractic care. It's helped me out immensely with my wellness and making me feel better, work better, live better. So definitely check them out. So Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC, they are located again in Belleville, Michigan and Dexter, Michigan. On here at Facebook, there's a call now button with that phone number, 734-697-4244.
All right.
You mentioned about the personal communication, not talking, stuff like that. It's not just real estate anymore.
Oh, I
It's
know.
everything. And here's how I know this. I communicate and my job as a ship shopper, I communicate with people because that's part of the job. I sometimes won't see somebody for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks sometimes. And I had one the other day, and she's always been a great person to shop for. She tips me well because she appreciates the work I give, but she's always great. Responds when I need to respond, and that's the other thing is I get people that don't respond back to me either.
Right.
But I could tell when someone has had a bad shopper or a non-communicative shopper because the first thing I'll get back is, "Oh, thank God you're back." A lot of times I haven't gone anywhere. It's just that
Right.
my schedule gets packed up at the same time too much. I can't take all the orders I want to take because they're all at the same time. I may
Mhm.
be out of town sometimes, things like that. And I got a few that, very few, but there's a few that have my phone number, so they'll let me know if they're placing orders. Had one last night. I was actually home for the night, and she texted I placed an order, and she doesn't order very much. She's like a lot of people because they've scaled back. We've had some people that just don't use the service as much.
Mhm.
They're doing their own shopping, but they needed someone to do their shopping, so she let me know she was placing an order, and I got it. So I was out at the store and shopped till 9 o'clock last night because that's what you do for your good customers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But communication is key. I watch these people that shop, and I can tell they're just shopping. They don't care what the person really wants. They're just getting what it says. They don't have it. They either sub it or skip it.
Yeah.
Because I'll have people say, "Oh yeah, I had someone shop for me," and like half the stuff was out of stock. They didn't even offer substitutions, and all of a sudden, oh, it's on my doorstep.
Right.
They just didn't even say anything, and I text them back. I text them and nothing. And
Mhm.
I don't get it first of all because it's like I said in the industry. I've been saying this for years. if you want to be successful, no matter what it is you're doing, you need to be able to communicate. And the fact that we've gone to so much technology stuff, people are like, "Well, I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want it to be done." No, you're going to get crap service, then you're going to get a crap product, and you're not
Mhm.
taken care of. And I believe that's the biggest problem we have right now is people don't want to talk to anybody. They just want it done and handled, but then they want to complain about it afterwards.
Right. And there's so much nuance. 80% of communication is non-verbal.
Yeah.
It's your body language, it's your cues, it's the tones you use that really make the delivery of a message complete. And when you boil everything down to a simple text, if I'm the receiver, well, my mood is going to change what tone I read that text in. It's
Yeah.
going to make me infer different things. And since it's a text, I can't clarify by saying, "Oh, you mean this?" And then you could say, "Well, no, that's not what I'm trying to say." There's so much lost because all we do is text now.
Yeah, and majority of my job is via text,
Right.
but
Well,
it's how
text
you
has a place. Like a
but it's
list
how
is
you
great for a
handle
text.
that text. It's how
Yeah.
you communicate it, and stuff like that. But if you need to talk to somebody, and that happens when if they don't answer, I call them and I'll leave them a
Yeah.
voicemail. Call me back,
Well,
and
I've had it so many times where the other person though thinks like, because I tend to have a straight to the point style,
Mhm.
so they think I'm angry for my text. I was like, no, I'm just saying what we need. I'm
that's
not.
that's that's the thing is, and I'm very direct myself, and I call it direct. It's not about being rude, disrespectful. It's
Right.
direct. It's like I need to know, A or B. I'm not looking to have a discussion about the weather or anything else. I need an answer from you, so that's what's
Yeah.
in the text. If I'm going to discuss something with you, well, that's a phone call. But the
Right.
thing is, like like you said, when you're trying to call somebody, trying to work a deal, and I just text me information, whatever. Okay, that's arrogance in most time.
Hmm.
And when I used to sell wireless phones, this was back in the late '90s, early 2000s. We get realtors in all the time. They are the absolute worst people to sell a product to and deal with because I live by this. This is my phone, and if this doesn't work, I gotta do no. And then a couple times I'm like, "Your phone's ringing. Why don't you answer that?" Oh, they can go to voicemail. That's what it's for. So you don't really care about making money, it's something like
Yeah.
that. Most time though they were bitching about the fact that I was driving down the road, I dropped a call. Well, this was 1997, 98, 99, whatever. It's like, yeah, this doesn't work 100% everywhere. Even in 2023,
Right.
you're going to drop calls, you're going to have bad signals, it's going to happen. It's technology, nothing's perfect, nothing's guaranteed. I love the guy though coming one time, he goes, next time I get a phone, it's going to be written contract that says I'm guaranteed it will always work. I looked at him and said it'll never happen. He comes in to renew it, and I said, couldn't find that guarantee, huh? He goes, no, I'll take the phone. So I'm like, yep, exactly. See, but that's the thing. I was in sales too. And when these other salespeople came in, I just go say, look, I ain't BSing you here. I'm giving you honest to God truth on this stuff here. And if
Right.
you're mad at me for telling you the truth, well, screw you, asshole.
Yeah. Speaking of cell phones, real quick, at 2:20 today, they're doing the national emergency test,
Yes.
and all cell phones are going to go off. Everything is going to go off. My understanding when I was reading it, it was a little confusing, but there's like a window of time
Hmm.
that this is operating. So I think if you shut your phone off to avoid the alert, like when you go turn it on like a half hour later, I think you'll still get it. Based
My
on
understanding is that you're going to get it no matter what. And the reason
right,
is,
that's
is,
my
is
understanding.
this is a FEMA
Yeah,
government, federal government
yeah,
taking over the world type thing. Uh, and it's designed that no matter, it's going to be sent and your phone will go off and
yeah.
you have to stop it.
So
It's like the Amber Alert stuff you get once in a while on your
yeah,
phones and things
yeah.
like that.
Brought to you
And
by the very same people who purposely decided not to activate the alert system for people living in Hawaii while they burn to death.
exactly. And, yeah, and it's again, this is the system that is designed to be activated to send alerts from the U.S. president or FEMA.
Yeah.
So,
So they can say,
yeah,
get in your house or go to the concentration camp for those who don't agree with us.
yeah, and here's what it says though. Basically, so we know it's two sections. It's the wireless emergency alert. It's a direct text message to all consumer cell phones that are on and within range of an active cell tower from a participating wireless provider. While the test will be transmitted for 30 minutes, all phones will only receive the message once. The WEA segment of the test will be activated through FEMA's integrated public alert and warning system. nicely known as iPause. It's a centralized internet-based system.
That sounds like an
Yeah.
Apple product for women on menopause.
Yeah. Now here's the other thing. The second part of the test is going to send test messages to all radios and televisions,
Yeah.
and the test will last approximately 1 minute. This is based on a legislation enacted in 2015 mandates that FEMA carry out nationwide tests of iPods every 3 years. This is the third nationwide test. I remember it being done before, but this is the first time I think he actually alerted people ahead of time that, hey, this is going to happen, and you all should be ready. And
Yeah, I remember
instead of
when
just doing it.
instead of everyone like running in the streets.
Well, yeah.
Aliens are
Well,
coming.
the last one was like 3 years ago, I think it was, and it was everybody thought it was a nuclear attack.
Yeah, because everything went off at because normally like we're used to like 1 p.m. Saturdays, first Saturday of the month is tornado sirens. You
Noon.
know, is it noon? I think
Noon
ours
on,
is 1.
noon on Saturday, and there's some communities that do it every Saturday.
Is there?
Yeah.
I think ours is 1.
So I know around here it's always been 12. So
Oh, okay. So, and where was I this week? I was somewhere, and during the week there was tornado sirens going off, and they're like, so communities must get to choose their.
and then maybe some that were testing it for different reasons, like they did
Yeah.
some updates or something like that. Maybe 1st of October-ish type deal or something like that. So
Yeah, knowing our government, they were testing and going, crap, it still works. We got to dismantle it so they don't get the alert.
Yeah. So, but that's what's kind of going on today, and it's going to be annoying as all heck. Now, here's the thing, though: turn your volume down on your phone.
Yeah.
You can mute your volume. It's not going to kick the volume up; it'll just go off on the phone.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not going to work doing that 100%, but I'm thinking, hey, just turn your volume down, and you might be all right. So,
Oh God, yeah, and you know how many people there are who don't know about this and never turn their volume down. So how many work meetings or movies, people in movie, all of a sudden,
yeah. Nah, it's gonna be the old people at the grocery store going, "Oh my god, my pacemaker!"
And these people, everyone's just going to stop and be looking up or around and wondering what's going on.
See, this is when they need to send these out, and it needs to be the old clip of Ronald Reagan from the '80s when he was joking around, but they had it on audio. He's like, "We begin bombing in 10 minutes."
There you go. Yep, that's funny.
See how many people freak out then, you know?
There is a TikTok I saw, and I've seen a couple of these, but this one in particular was funny. She put a DVD into the PlayStation or something. But anyway, her boyfriend or husband comes home and he turns on the TV and grabs his controller. When he turns on the TV, it's like the emergency alert signals going off. And he's like, what's this? So he's sitting down and they're saying, this is not a test. And they're talking about aliens are invading. And he's like, what the heck? And they're like, you got to get to the nuclear shelters. And so then he's calling his dad. He's like, turn on the news. And the dad's like, there's nothing on the news. Like, yes, there is. There's aliens. And then the wife comes bursting into the room screaming with one of those costumes that look like those blow up aliens are abducting you. And he flies out of his chair. And then, of course, he quickly realizes it's a joke.
Yeah. I saw one with a kid the other day. He's got that same costume, and kid's trying to, oh, no, and he's dragging himself through the house and all that stuff. So
those are funny.
Well, since we're kind of, sorry, I lost my headphones a second. There we go. And I'm back.
Hey.
It's talking about aliens in space. I don't think I shared this from a couple weeks ago. I can't remember, so you have to remind me if I talked about this. Have you seen this movie? Now, here's the thing. You're going to want to laugh at the actor.
Right.
But he's actually very serious and does a great job. It's A Million Miles Away. Have you seen this?
I have not. I just saw the trailer the other day.
Okay. Because
what's so weird, is this an old movie?
No. It just came out.
So it's funny how just by shaving, he looks 30 years younger.
Well, that's a lot of Photoshop right there.
Oh, okay.
But he's not that old, but they do make him up a little bit older as he goes along. Okay. It's based on a true story. It's about the real life story of NASA flight engineer Jose Hernandez, and he comes from a family of migrant workers from Mexico that came up during in the 60s and all that to get the crops and stuff like that. And he's actually was a smart kid. But of course, being dragged around like that, you didn't get nothing. Such as his parents actually decided to, stay in one place. it's very difficult. They're not getting much money in that, but so he can go to school. It's a great story about a guy. He's as a kid decides, sees all this stuff about space and decides he wants to go into space, wants to be an astronaut. So he starts learning math, learning all this stuff as a kid. He's taking great stuff, and he gets older and he goes to engineering school and he gets a job working in like an aerospace type company. And that stuff, and he's constantly applying to NASA. So it showed how his journey became his family life. He met his wife. He's working, having kids. He's still applying every year. He kept it a secret for a few years, and then how eventually he did become a NASA astronaut and actually did go up on a shuttle mission, and
Very cool.
and worked with NASA for many years. He's in his 60s now in real life. Just a good movie, a good wholesome family movie is the best way to put it. I mean, it gets some fun little bits. It shows about him working on his dream and then eventually helping his wife get her dream of wanting a restaurant and that. So I really liked it a lot. I thought it was very well done. It really shows how well, oh God, what's his name here? Blanking, Michael
Pena.
Pena, yeah. How good an actor is, because I've seen not just this, but he's done a couple movies. I've seen him in a lot of comedy stuff over the years.
Yeah.
And he's 47, so he's like about 15 years younger than the real character he's playing. But what was he in recently? This is where the internet sucks. You try to bring up something to look at. It's like, oh, we're gonna show you all the highlights. No, he did some good stuff here recently. In that, so Jack Ryan, that's right. He was in the series, Jack Ryan TV series, played Domingo Chavez. He played basically like a hitman CIA guy. Really good in that. He played it straight. And then,
it's smart of him to do these roles. So like here, Mike is talking. He's expecting him to go all Lewis from Ant-Man. Yeah, because that was such a identifiable role, and in some of his other comedy stuff too. He does that rapid talking stuff. So this shows range for him, and I think this was crucial for him to do to further his career.
Oh yeah, no, as an actor you should, unless you want to just pigeonhole all the time. And if you go back and look, he's got a lot of stuff on there. He's mixed around everything, and it's really only since Ant-Man he's gotten a true notice. But he's done things like he was in the Lincoln Lawyer movie back in 2011. He did Battle Los Angeles. I remember in that a lot of smaller parts, stuff like that. He's getting bigger roles in that. But he looks at a lot of comedy stuff. Like he's on My Name Is Earl, and like I said, the Ant-Man stuff was just the first Ant-Man movie is hilarious, given the whole recap in the middle of it, and and things like that. So I mean, he's done a lot of stuff way back, since '94. So he's a hardworking actor that really is just now starting to hit a good peak. He's really coming along into his own, and I thought he was fantastic in this. I highly recommend it. Just trying to see where I think it's on Amazon.
I think so. I'm pretty sure it is Amazon.
So, and then because this kind of falls in a little bit. They're coming out in the morning Hispanic. Yeah, it's on Prime. But this is just like the movie I talked about couple months ago about the creation of the hot Cheetos. So yep, Amazon. Right. It's similar type things. These are people that have dreams, and what I tell people when you watch these movies is I it doesn't matter who it is. I do I think it's nice they're focusing on different groups like that, but they're not making so much about like only because he's Mexican we're doing this. It's like showing this is a guy who he may have been circumstances doesn't matter whether you're Mexican, white, black, whatever. We all come from different circumstances, and this showed someone that rose through those circumstances, through
he worked hard to achieve his dreams,
and that's the whole thing. And having a dream and getting there,
and that's the American dream.
And
we believe you can work your way up,
and they talk about that in the movie. It's mentioned. The American dream is mentioned, as the American dream, and that's what the American dream is you have a dream, you work towards it, you achieve it. It's not handed to you, not given to you, not privileged with it. It's something that you work for. And it doesn't matter who you are. And I love seeing these stories. And these are stories these are kind of movies I truly enjoy watching people kind of go through. It's stuff like this one, the Cheeto one that came out a few months ago. And going back even further, I saw a little something on the internet about the baseball player that Quaid played. He was a high school coach and went and tried out and ended up on the Tampa Bay Rays back in the 90s and then pitched for a couple of years in the pros. it's those stories like that I love hearing about. It's the underdog that survives and goes forward. So
Yeah, very cool.
yeah, so I haven't seen that a couple weeks ago, and I just forgot to mention that. I just happened to try to look up
Yeah,
something that popped up. So
yeah. I just noticed it the other day. I've been watching a lot of Amazon Prime myself, and came across. Actually, I was just writing it down. There's four things. I don't know how I had time to watch. I've been watching at weird times though. That's why it's
yeah,
like somehow I have 6 different things I watched this week, which is crazy. But this has been on for a while. I think it's Amazon Prime. Did you watch Jury Duty, that TV series Jury Duty, when that was out?
I did
So
not.
it's a reality series. James Marsden is in it.
Okay,
And the basic premise is it's a fake trial. Everybody involved is actors, but there's one juror who is real, who doesn't realize the whole thing is a setup.
okay,
And it's hilarious. Oh my God. And James Marsden plays himself, but an exaggerated like the celebrity version of himself that's kind of pompous and stuff. And it's hilarious. The main guy, Ronald, I'm forgetting his name right now, but the main guy who isn't in on the joke,
yeah,
it's hilarious to see the scenes they come up with for him. It's like, I think it's 8 episodes long. Um, and then like, a typical reality show, he's awarded at the end with a nice prize for going through all this. So it's worth seeing. It's very funny. The first couple episodes, it's a little slow, but it's funny enough. But as it goes on and as you're getting to know the different personalities that they're playing, it gets funnier and funnier, and then by the end, it's just hilarious.
yeah.
So,
The rookie with Dennis Quaid. Mike brought that. I was trying to remember that. So
oh, okay. Yeah, so
yeah,
Jury Duty is a fun little TV series if you want to watch something like that. It's funny. I would check
okay.
it out.
Yeah, see,
But
a lot of those shows like that, I don't enjoy them.
yeah,
When it's like even though well, Jackass is all about hurting people, but just it's like when they're duping somebody like that, and granted
yeah,
they may take care of it, but I just never really get into those non-scripted style reality
yeah.
very much. Just
Well,
never
they
have.
don't do it in a mean way towards them though.
Well, it's not even
They're
about
not.
mean. It's not even
Yeah,
about mean. It's just for me personally, I just never gotten into those.
yeah.
Uh, I look and go, okay, okay. It's just a lot of it is
So,
just production quality,
so
but also
I'll
it's
give
even the fake reality ones like The
yeah.
Office stuff like that. I never could get into those.
So I'll give you one scenario that comes up in this that's hilarious. So James Marsden he's up for a role, so he gets this guy to read the script with him,
Mm.
so he can practice for the audition, and he has to go to the bathroom. The James Marsden has to go to the bathroom. Well,
Okay.
so he goes in there, and he's like grunting and stuff. And he comes out. They did a fart spray in there to really stink it up, and they
Uh-huh.
put this fake giant turd in the toilet. And he's like, "Oh my god, the toilet won't flush." He's like, "I blocked it." And so the other guy goes and looks in. And he's like, "Oh my god." And he's like, "We're gonna have to call a plumber." He's like, "You gotta take the hit for me." He goes, "If people know it's me, the plumber will take a picture, and next thing I know, they're gonna have it all over the internet." And so when the plumber sees it, he's like, "Oh my god!" And the guy totally takes the blame. He's like,
Oh, geez.
"No, it's mine." And it's funny. So there's like weird stuff like that, but they actually show it in the show. It's bad. It looks real.
Yeah. No thanks. I'm good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but there's that.
it's a Jackass on trial show. It sounds like so.
It's I wouldn't go Jackass because I don't like Jackass. I never watched that one, but it's enjoyable. The different characters they create are funny and over the top, and it's kind of like pushing. How far can we go without him like being like, okay, this is fake? And there's a few times where he's like, God, it feels like I'm on reality TV, and they're like, oh, we gotta tone it down.
Okay.
So, um, the other another series I came across, I think it's new for American Amazon Prime.
Hmm.
Um, because I just saw it. I've never seen it on here before. And season 2 is coming out soon. It sounds like it's called 30 Coins. It's this really intense. It's like a horror series. Um, it's basically following this exorcist who's kind of been kicked out of the church, well, kicked out of where he was in the church,
Mhm.
One of the exorcisms, the patient died during the exorcism, so they charged him with murder. And it sounds like the church made an agreement to, like, well, we're going to send him off to some unknown town somewhere and just kind of bury his career in exchange for you to just drop all this. So
Okay.
he's in this nowhere place. And the 30 coins is referring to the 30 coins that Judas was paid for turning over Christ.
30
So
pieces of silver.
yeah, so these strange things are happening in this town now when he arrives, and demonic type
And this is
activity.
on Max, isn't it?
Oh, was this Max? I thought this was
Yeah.
Amazon Prime.
Because
It might be
I
Max. You're
pulled it up
right.
because it shows
It
that
is Max.
season 2 premieres October 23rd.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
So
Kind of like that Continental series you watched before. The episodes are like an hour and a half.
yeah, I watched the second one of that one, and it's good. Now, the third one's coming out this week because they're only doing it once a week. Um,
For Continental.
Continental. I'm looking forward to seeing that as I wrap it up. But so far with the Continental, I like it, but I'm thinking that all 3 episodes could have been shortened down to a 2-hour movie and been just as fine.
Yeah. So thanks for the correction. It is HBO Max.
Yeah.
But and then another one I'll give a quick review on is a movie called Inside. We just watched this the other night. It's with
Inside.
Inside. If you Google Inside movie, actually I can put it up here. Present.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, William Defoe is in it, and it's one of those movies that was made during COVID.
Okay.
So it's just him. I mean, there's some other actors that appear through in other scenes.
This is where they were shooting everything and everybody had to be by themselves. So
Right. So the basic premise is he's an art thief sent into this penthouse apartment to steal some very expensive artwork.
mhm.
And he has a hacker on the phone who's breaking the codes for him for the alarm. He gets in. And when it's time to go, the hacker, they don't really make it clear whether this was designed intentionally to do this or the hacker screwed something up. But suddenly everything goes off and the entire place locks down. And he's fully locked in. And the heating, because everything is controlled by technology, it's self-governing. He can't change it. So like the temperature starts going up to like 100 degrees in there.
Mhm.
All the water faucets are electronic, so he can't turn them on. And so he's basically trying to survive in this place. This had a lot of potential as far as where they go very weird in this.
Mhm.
And I'll talk later on at another time about it. I think about what our theory is that they should have done that would have made it epic, but it's weird. And it's one of those endings where it ends and you're kind of like,
Well,
oh,
I saw the trailer before on this, and it didn't appeal to me for that. For the what they're talking the trailer, I was like, okay, what you're basically saying is how I felt just from the trailer, um, and that
yeah,
it's gonna seem like it's intense in that, and it's just gonna be a complete letdown. And look at the IMDb rating you shared; it's kind of 5.5, which means that
yeah.
I start seeing that, and it's definitely okay. It may have had a great premise, may have had some good start. The
It
problem
just
with a
didn't
lot of
go
these
anywhere.
movies is no follow through. They can't finish these damn movies right.
Yeah,
They either cop out or well, I had some ideas and I threw them all together and I just never had an ending,
yeah.
so we just kind of ended it.
Actually, I mean, this has been out since March. I'll go
Yeah,
ahead and give a little bit of
yeah,
spoilers. I mean, it's been out since March. So with this, it's just he's in there and they explore all these possibilities of could this be like almost like a satanic thing where it's like going after his soul, or could it be whatever? And then he gets out and it's just over. And he's in this place for like 8 months.
yeah,
And like he even sets off the fire alarms and the water suppression system. Nobody comes.
yeah.
Like there's staff in the building, guards, and like somebody would have been sent if the fire alarm went off and water was pouring everywhere. Like it's so weird. Like, but what would have made sense? This was Jill's idea. What they should have done is because it was so much focus on the art pieces.
Hmm.
This should have been an experiment in living art where it was designed to trap him.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you see all these like millionaire art collectors watching him on a screen. And this became a living art exercise, and he was the trapped guinea pig. I think that would have been a cool twist.
That would have been an interesting twist, yeah.
Yeah, and because like he has these dream sequences where it implies he might have met like the maid and all these different people involved. He might have met them before, so that could have been the setup to
Well, I
trap
showed him
him
like
into it.
drawing on the wall or things like that, whatever he ended up doing, and
Yeah,
it would make sense to do that. And basically, they're torturing this guy for 8 months, and whatever he does in there becomes that living art. And
right,
then when they release him, they basically at the end it would be auctioning off the art.
right.
You
So
know,
I thought that was a really good idea by Jill, but of course they don't listen to us, Hollywood. They do their
no,
own thing.
it's so many people are doing these movies, and it's the same thing I think for years is it's too much of I have an idea. We see this in comics.
Mhm.
Guys go to, oh, I got this great idea. Okay, yeah, you have a scene. What's your story? No, no, that's
Right.
the story. No, 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 you have a scene. It's a story. It's not a story. It's like a basic premise. Oh yeah, I want to kill zombies.
Right.
Okay, great. Everybody wants to kill zombies. What's else? Oh no, that's it. Well, what's your story? I mean, if you
Yeah.
don't have a real story, it's not there. And that's the whole thing is, and it's not even just like an idea. It's like, where's your point? See,
Yeah.
we've talked about this on creating comics and stuff like that. We've done our podcast on that. Is regardless of what story you're going to do, you have to have an end result. So where's your point that you're going towards? And then you backtrack to the beginning and start writing towards that point to get yourself there. And you're
Right.
going to follow many different roads. But if you
Yeah, and
don't
you have to ask yourself, why am I telling this story? Because as a viewer, a reader, whatever, whoever is consuming this story in whatever medium you're putting out in, there has to be a payoff for me
yeah,
that I sat through this. Like with this Inside movie, about halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, we're like, this is so dumb, but we're so invested now. Let's just hopefully there's a good payoff.
yeah.
And it ends, he just escapes. But they don't show like, does he escape or like what happens? And we're just like, really? That's the ending? Like, oh, that was a waste. So give a payoff. Think of your consumer.
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole thing
Mm.
is, and it's this is true of a lot of things, and that it's that's what's been so disappointing in so many TV shows and movies that
No.
some people are clamoring about. It. And I look at it and go, okay, great. There's some great scenes there, but the payoff sucked.
Yeah. Because it's gimmicks, like you said. It's,
Yeah,
hey, like at a Comic-Con, like you said, like people come up and they'll have a drawing of a very cool looking character and be like, here's my character I designed. Isn't he awesome? Yeah, he looks cool. Yeah, I want to do a comic with him. Oh, well, what's his name? I don't know. Why does he do what he's doing? I don't know. What's his backstory? I don't know. It's like, well, okay, so you just designed a cool costume.
yeah,
That's not a story.
and that's the
So
whole thing. And that's the thing with everything. It's just if it's probably why I go back to so many movies. Maybe I grew up as there's some very cheesy. Because I love my cheesy 80 movies, but there's a lot of stuff I can go back and watch over the years again and again because even though I know the ending, it's still a good journey, and I know it's a satisfying ending.
mhm.
Things like that. It's just you pop on some of these movies and shows anymore. It's like, all right, where you go? There's a lot of shows I can't even listen because I blank on them. I put a TV show on now that's streaming. Oh yeah, this looks pretty cool. If they don't have me by 15 minutes in, I shut it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm tired. I'm at this point going, okay, I can see where this is going. And there's some I stick through going, oh, I wish I'd done it. It's like the one
Yeah.
with Pierce Brosnan where him and the wife were bank robbers that we talked about a while back because the main actor was complaining because nobody's seeing comedy. He's like, no, you weren't funny.
Right.
Dude, you played the same character you played in everything. You weren't funny. You were trying to be funny. That's the other thing is comedy. I started reading, actually reading it this morning. New book came out, got it yesterday. It is basically written by Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker that did Airplane. It's all about the movie Airplane from 1980. And right away in the beginning, it's talking about comedy and things like that in there. And the best thing they did at the beginning was they wanted people like, Robert Stack, and Lloyd Bridges. They wanted them to play straight in the comedy of and Robert Stack basically looked at Lloyd and said, just we're the cardboard cutouts. The comedy's happening all around us. We don't have to do anything.
Right.
And that's where I think the mistakes made nowadays with comedy is they think they have to constantly be doing something. Like, no, it'll happen in different ways. You throw different things out there. Go back and watch old comedies. Abbott and Costello, it wasn't always about what they did. It was what everybody else did around them that made it funny.
Well, there's that. I fully agree with you. And then the other issue with comedy is people are either agenda driven with their comedy or too afraid with their comedy. Like the talk show, the late night shows came back on. It was
Yep.
stupid. Here you have a senator who pulls a fire alarm to stop the Senate and tries to come across. He used to be a school principal and tries to claim he didn't understand the difference between a fire alarm and opening a door. That was his excuse.
Right.
That all talk show, regardless of your politics, people should have been all over that.
Yeah.
But instead, none of them touched it. And
No,
that's why Gutfeld
barely
is actually the leading on Fox is the leading late night right now, is because he's covering everything.
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm going, why isn't this bigger news than what it is?
Yep.
Because I'm sorry, he's an older adult that knows better.
Yeah.
This isn't like some
And
kind
his
of,
excuse
what's
is,
this do? Click.
I thought this opened the door.
Well, I've
Who
heard
ever looked at a bright red and
that's the
white
second one.
fire alarm?
He
with a
said,
lever?
I pulled it not thinking it would go off or something like that. That's what he said one
Yeah.
time. Then he's like, well, I thought it was the door. I mean, he's had multiple excuses.
Mhm.
It's a bunch of
But that
crap.
should be huge comedy fodder for all the late night shows, but they don't want to touch it.
Well, it's because they're not as funny anymore. They haven't been funny in years.
Right, because
And
they're agenda driven.
yeah, they're agenda driven. Agenda driven is whether you're drama, comedy, or whatever, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
It's most of the time it's never. It's basically like I remember Comic-Con several years ago. I was talking with somebody and this other girl come up talking to him and they're like, oh yeah, and what do you do? She goes, oh, I'm just here for the show or whatever, and I'm just kind of standing there with them because I knew him and I'm not gonna give you names or anything. But this girl goes, oh yeah, no, well, I really want to make social justice warrior movies. I'm like, oh okay, so nobody wants to see those. Yeah. Yeah, you want to make movies nobody sees. When you have it, and that's agenda driven. I mean, it's one thing to bring out a topic and do it in a proper way, but if it's agenda driven, where you're not really just discussing something in a movie, you're actually just saying this is the way it is, and if you don't believe it, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Then I don't care what it is, you're wrong.
It's the same as a gimmick. It's
Yeah.
If you're agenda driven, you don't have a story, you have a bullet point.
Yeah.
And you can, if you want a social justice movie, you can do it.
Yeah.
But you have to create a compelling story as the vehicle to move that. And no matter what your point is that you're doing, you need something compelling to transport that idea from you to the viewer.
Right.
And if you don't, nobody wants to see it, no matter what the topic is.
Yeah. And that's the thing is if it's a topic we're telling you, tell a good story, it's going to come across just fine. And I don't care. I don't really care what the subject is, but I always use the Supergirl thing for this. It didn't matter that they made two characters in that show lesbians.
Right.
What I hated was, and people that are LGBTQ should have been upset, was they kept referring to it as the lesbian wedding shower. Literally, go back and watch that season. That's all they kept calling it as. If you're trying to say, okay, these are two characters that are going to get married, it's just a wedding shower. It doesn't matter. We don't call it the straight wedding shower.
Right.
We don't call it the white people's wedding shower. It's a wedding shower. It is what it is.
And
that make shows agenda driven. It's like they're trying to hammer home one point and people say, well, they're just trying to make sure people know. It's like, you don't have to tell them. Everybody knows.
No, what it's doing is you are dumbing down your audience. You're assuming your audience is too dumb to figure out that that's what you're trying to do.
And that's what it boils down to. And that's what's hurting comedy right now is people Hollywood especially feels that everybody outside of their little circle is stupid.
Right.
Everything else. It's like, oh yeah, these people are stupid. So we have to make it stupid for them to laugh. No, especially in this day and age. I'm sorry. We've gotten to the point now in the last 25 years with pretty much everybody here in the United States, for the most part, having access to the internet and tons of content. We ain't stupid. We can all, if we want to read, we can read. If we want to watch movies, we can watch movies. We're not limited to like, oh, do you remember that movie back in the day? And I wish I could see that again. No, we just Google, oh, there it is. Someone illegally uploaded it. We can watch it.
Right. Well,
so,
and to kind of segue into the next one here.
Yeah.
I keep coming back to, and you've said it as well. We've said it many times.
Mm-hmm.
They keep trying to talk about superhero fatigue, and it's not superhero fatigue. It's bad story fatigue, because a lot of what Marvel has been doing, and DC and others, is they're getting lazy. They're trying to push a certain point or whatever, and the story is suffering.
And that's kind of why I was going on my rant, because I knew we were going to go into this.
Yeah, but one that isn't, I'm telling you, The Boys, that franchise, they just came out with Gen V. It's the first 3 episodes that were released. I thought the whole
I
season was
watched the first 2.
okay. Wasn't it good?
Yes, it
I
is.
mean,
Well, here's the thing. This show is, uh, rated, R hard.
hard.
Literally. Yep. Uh,
Actually, I'm amazed they
Pun
get away
intended.
with what they get away with.
Well,
How is it not rated X?
because there was no actual showing of real penetration.
I mean,
it,
true.
it was a pole dance.
It was a pole dance. There you go. It was.
So, yeah, it's. I mean, they.
But it's compelling. The storyline, they grab you with the characters. That's the key. J.K. Rowling, her Harry Potter series isn't huge because it's wizards. It's huge because the characters.
Yes.
And that's what they get here. Really good characters.
Well, and that's the thing. And they follow the main character. She's right there on the left. And we get introduced to her early on and how she got her powers. And this all spills off from the Boys show with the Compound V.
Right.
In that all these kids were given Compound V because they all wanted superpowers because they all want to be part of the parents want them all to be part of the Seven, so they'll be rich, famous, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole thing is they're dealing with. Actually, I mean, it's kind of a veiled thing. This is basically what was those old shows, Tiaras and whatever, with the little girls and the beauty pageants. This is that type of thing. This is the stage mom and dads. This is everything else, but done as superheroes.
Yeah, and they're willing to sacrifice their kids for fame and glory and all this stuff.
Yeah, they're hoping that they'll make tons of money and they'll have everything there. But cast is really good. Jazz Sinclair plays Marie Moreau. She's the main character there on the left that we follow. I didn't realize that's Patrick Schwarzenegger. I don't recognize him as well. Plays Luke Reardon.
Yeah, I kept looking at him thinking, God, he looks familiar, but I couldn't place it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's one of those things I'm still getting to know who his names are. It's like, oh yeah, good actor. I mean, here's the thing. He's a little side bit on the whole nepotism thing keeps popping up here and there. Yeah, guess what? If you could get your kid ahead in life, you're going to help it. But this shows that he actually can act, and he may have gotten a couple of starts from his dad, but for the most part, he's on his own.
Well, and the whole thing is with the whole nepotism argument. Whether it's networking, it's not nepotism.
Yeah.
Whether it's your parents, a good friend, somebody you know, a coworker, if somebody has an opportunity and you personally know the person who can open a door for you, you're going to use it.
Yeah.
But once that door is open, it's on you to carry it forward. They're not going to like a show like this. If you suck, you're not going to get through the door.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I'm loving I just absolutely love this world. I do wish they toned it down a hair because the story is solid.
Yeah.
And if they toned it down just a little bit, this could be a family friendly. It could still be, I should say, teen friendly show. And you could do movie. This could rival. They would beat Marvel and DC if they made this universe into movies and stuff.
Yeah.
I think they would crush them. But because of the content, this is not even young teen friendly. This is adult.
Yeah. Now, the one actor in there, Andre, he's one of the main ones. He plays Little Cricket, it says here, but Andre he's a
Little Cricket is the girl here.
Yeah, I said Little Cricket. I was like, oh, it's Cricket. That's the girl. That's not right. I don't know why I said that there, but oh, I see. It's
or is her name Andrea?
Yeah. No, she's Little Cricket. That's the blonde girl there. No, Andre here, he or Chance Perdome was the actor's name. He plays Andre.
Okay.
And I knew I recognized him. I had to pull it up here. He was Ambrose in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. He was really good in that.
Oh, okay.
That's also on Netflix.
Yeah, the whole cast is phenomenal. It's a very intense storyline that they're dealing with.
Yeah, he's a good actor. He's solid, stuff like that. I like him in this. and we're gonna see this. It's already said in this first 2 episodes. Not giving too much detail into everything right now because I think give people a chance to watch it. But we're gonna see him following like the main girl there, the two girls there, another couple of people. They're they converge a lot. They know each other. There's things they do together. They're separate. They're doing their own separate thing into what's going on because they're all starting to figure out that something's not right within this whole superhero college that they're all in.
Yeah, the world of Vought is not as superhero driven as they thought.
Yep, and we get the current person head of Vought that we saw at the end of the last season of Boys. That's been around that last season. So things like that, they do tie it into some earlier stuff with the Boys. So it's a direct tie-in as a spinoff. It's not just like, okay, here's this, and we're going to go off and do our own thing. It's from the beginning, they mesh it right in, and it's definitely going to be popping in.
And there's little hints if you pay attention to where it is in the timeline. This takes place after the last season of The Boys. Because you see the movie is released. Remember that Magnificent Seven they were putting together?
Yep.
When they're streaming online, scrolling through stuff, you see that has now been released to streaming, and you can watch it online. And so, like, there's things like that they do where so you can know, like, okay, they've passed that season,
right?
So, but I absolutely love it. I was bummed when I couldn't watch episode 4. I'm like, oh, I gotta wait.
Yeah, well, it should be out. I didn't see here when
I forget what days it comes out.
Yeah, it's like Ahsoka was Tuesdays. We've got Loki tomorrow night at 9 p.m. It drops.
Okay.
Today is the 4th, so the 6th. So they're every Thursday show.
Thursday, okay.
Yeah, I still have to watch episode 3. I'm gonna watch that. It's but they're good sized episodes. They're not bad, so I want to watch that. Because I worked so much last night, I didn't want to get into it. I got home and watched Ahsoka right away because I wanted to stay awake for that, and then I was like, I can't watch anything else. I won't stay awake for it. But
so, just a warning to the viewers: if you don't know the Boys franchise or universe, this will be. If you watch this will be the most bloody show you probably ever watch, and it will probably be the most graphic.
It's graphic and violence, sexuality, and everything else. So
everything is on steroids. So if you don't like that stuff, you probably want to steer away. But if you've watched The Boys, this continues the legacy. But they make it their own. They make it their own.
It's basically NC-17. So I mean, it's not quite porn, but it's not all about the sex. But there's a lot different stuff in there, and they had that in there, and sometimes they push it to as far as they can push it,
which is far.
Yes.
It will be a pole dance you've never dreamed you were going to see.
Yeah, I mean, that was Scott had told me it happened, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And
all right.
Yeah, it was as realistic as you can get.
I can't imagine being on set for that day.
Yeah, there was a lot of green screen on that one.
So very interesting. But so if you like The Boys, you're gonna love Gen V, I think.
I think so. It's good. I enjoy The Boys. I like Gen V. I knew it was coming out. I didn't realize it dropped till Scott told me.
Yeah. It kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't realize it either. It was like, what?
Yeah. Now, of course, you got all these actors and actresses. They are all playing late teens, and they're all like almost 30. So,
but they do look it. They do look.
Yeah,
like...
she does. Well, they plays. Her name's Jazz Sinclair, real life, but she was on Vampire Diaries and all this other stuff. She's also in Sabrina, as well. So I'm assuming because I think the guy that does this Kripke, I think he also did Sabrina. So that's probably a lot of those people in there. So. That's why we got Jensen Ackles because he also did the Supernatural.
Well, that ties into our other thing. It's networking, not nepotism. So because the guy who worked with Sabrina is involved with this, other actors who were part of that, who knew him, were able to be given an opportunity.
Well, and that's the whole thing. There's a lot of actors do that. Look at Adam Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
All his friends are in all his movies. He'll bring some other people in here and there, but boy, you become a good friend of his, and you definitely will.
And they openly admit like most of their career is because of him now. It's funny at the roast, they're like, I don't want to joke about Adam because I still want to be employed. And then I've got one other thing. To give a quick review on. I'll give a spoiler free. The Creator came out, and Ah, I hate saying this. I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
This movie is a great example of the power of editing and music choice. Everything about this movie, other than that, is amazing. The acting, amazing. Story, amazing. Special effects, amazing. The world they created, amazing. But because they were trying to be artsy, I think, through the editing, the story moved at a snail's pace. Even the action scenes seemed slow. The music choices, it didn't build like when you're watching Star Wars, Lucas wanted the music to be emotion to grab you in the emotion and bring it up and be a part of the story.
Yeah.
It felt disconnected. And it's a 2 hour and 15-minute movie, I think.
Yep.
It feels like 3.5 hours.
Uh,
And really, with this movie, it should have been a 2 hour, 15-minute movie that feels like an hour and a half because everything was so phenomenal. But we were bored through the whole movie. And when the movie ends, I looked around to see the reactions of everyone else, and everyone's just kind of sitting there like, it just, if someone takes the exact movie and just re-edits it, keeps the story the same, you don't have to cut any of the storyline out, but just re-edits and then changes the music score, this will be a top-notch movie you could build franchises off of.
yeah. Well, music's important. Sound's important, and
Yeah,
but
it's just they overly slow down everything
sometimes with something like
constantly.
this, and I've not seen it yet. It's definitely something I still wanted to see, and so we'll see if I get a chance to go see it in the theater or I wait till it streams. But Gareth Edwards, who wrote and directed it,
Mhm.
now he also wrote it with Chris Weitz, um, who's done a bunch of other stuff too. He did he worked on Rogue One as well, and Nutty Professor Two, Golden Compass, things like that. Um, Probably when you get a writer director is they get too much into the auteur thinking of this stuff. And I saw this even when I was in college studying film. So guys, people like, oh, I want to write and direct. I want to do these, and then everything they mentioned would be stuff like it's like nobody cares to see that crap. You know, all you're talking about is this. You want to be this artsy fartsy type guy, and stuff like that. And like and it's supposed to be like this big grand thing that people are just gonna, oh, it's so great because he threw red on a canvas and that's all there is. But it speaks.
Right.
No, you want to tell a good, again, back to good story, but telling good story isn't always about the dialogue and the acting. When it comes to
Yeah.
filmmaking is the whole process. And like I said, you mentioned Lucas. That's where George Lucas was brilliant with the first Star Wars movie. Was he went into it not trying to be cheesy, not trying to be in us. He wanted to be serious, stunned, telling a good story. And then the music itself, he went, to John Williams and he said, I don't want just a basic score. I want a grand score. And what do we got? We got iconic music from that you hear it, the initial Star Wars fanfare. You know when Vader's coming out because you
Right.
hear the theme. You
A,
know, you hear the New Hope themes.
a part of me wonders, though, did he go this direction too because of his connection with Rogue One? Did he not want it to be Star Warsy? And so he tried to do a different pacing and stuff. I don't know the reasons why, but for me, it didn't work. For Jill, it didn't work. From looking at the reactions of the people around me, it didn't work.
I've been seeing a lot of posts about it too, and it didn't work on a lot of levels for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And some people are blaming the stories like that. And I think the problem is you get lost in a story that feels badly paced, and that's the key right there. Is
Yep.
pacing.
Yep.
Is even though it could be the same movie with a better sound, better music, things like that could actually make it go better. But it's the pacing, and if you get lost in the pacing,
Right.
then you get lost in the story and you just don't care anymore. And
Right.
if you're spending the last 45 minutes of a movie going, is it going to end? Is it going to end? You're not
Yeah.
paying attention anymore.
Right.
So you may have missed everything that could have made it great. And it all boils down to elements.
Yeah. Well, and in response to what you were mentioning too about Star Wars,
Yeah.
even with George Lucas's great idea of music and stuff, it was his wife who saved the music saved the movie through her editing.
Yes.
She re-edited the whole movie. And my understanding is prior to her doing that final edit, it was actually really bad because the pacing was so slow. And she recognized the storyline that was going on and re-edited it so it made the droids up front and made them the kind of the vehicle for the story, and from their point of view and the progression and everything was revealed better and the pacing was better. And she really saved Star Wars
Yes.
because of her edit.
Marsha
Yeah.
Lucas, I'm not sure where she goes right now, but Marsha Lucas then was a fantastic editor already in the industry.
Right.
So she'd already been working, stuff like that. And George was this goes back to what true brilliance is. It's about allowing other people to come in and say, hey, that doesn't work. Let me show you. And they did that. Now he worked on the editing, but she came in, she and a lot of people say she fixed everything. I don't believe some of that stuff people try to say that George had nothing to do with it, but he wrote the original story and then she helped him with through different editing things, even on
Correct.
the initial story. I was saying, okay, well, here you go. You've got this great story. And like, well, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, where's your story? Well, here it is. And he went, okay, this is where you need to do your story. And he went back and he wrote like 7-8 drafts for the first Star Wars movie.
Correct.
And it was him. It wasn't her.
Yeah.
You know, people say, oh no, it was really her. No, it was him.
No.
She did the editing, but they did work as a team on this, but it really was all George's idea.
Correct.
And that, so, and
but she got the pacing right. She got the order of the shots right so that the story unfolded in the way that best revealed George's vision.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was, and like I said, I don't know if he was too afraid of being too like Star Wars since he did Rogue One, but had they changed up the music and the pacing, like I said, I think the story is solid. The acting, especially the kid, oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah,
so
I
good.
think that what everything you're describing is he needed someone else, and this is where directors and writers, especially when they're the same person for a project, can have an issue. Is if they don't listen to other people, if they don't get feedback from other people, not those people that, I mean, he's coming off of, okay, I had a successful Star Wars movies. He's gotten full boat to do this. If they just said, just do it and get it out there, great, go. They needed someone to come back and say, okay, this doesn't work. Yeah. There's something going on here. Let's look at this from a different perspective. And he needed another, talented person in a different category to come in and say, yeah, you should really think about this, this, and this. All right. And it could be even with edits in the movie. If he took it down, not saying anything he's taking out story wise, but sometimes change the music, cut a few scenes, trim those by even seconds sometimes makes a huge difference.
Yes. Yeah.
And things like that. And that's where, it would help out in that. But, I mentioned, Lucas, one of the things I recommend is this. I'm going to share this one here is read this book. Oh crap. I stopped it. Let me pull it up here real quick. This book here I read years ago. They got an updated edition. I may have to check that out down the road, but it's a biography, but Lucas did talk with the guy. And this came out years ago originally. And it talks about his origin of making American Graffiti, Star Wars, stuff like that. The guy's added more stuff in it. It's a full-length biography of Lucas. But when it talks mostly about Star Wars, it talks about things like, what Marsha did and things like that, and how involved different things were and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good stuff on that. But it really shows that what Lucas as a filmmaker is he knew, like, even going into Empire and Jedi was, he had to have other people do other things. Yes, he still oversaw everything. It's still his project. He didn't hand it off and walk away. He oversaw it. I mean, even in Indiana Jones, he's producing it, but he gave notes to Spielberg, and Spielberg was keeping him attached. So because it was his story.
Well, along the same, to support your argument too, is that was one of the biggest faults he had with the prequel movies is he did too much.
And that's what I was going to get to on that.
Yeah.
Was he didn't do that for those movies. He didn't defer to other people about that. And that's where some of the fault lies in storytelling in those, and could have been, well, like Scott and I still both enjoy the prequels. We recognize their flaws and things like that. But
when you read novelization of the prequel movies, it's phenomenal.
Yes.
And that's because George isn't a novel writer. So with the novelist, he gave all the bullet points of the story, where it was going, but then he allowed the storyteller to tell the story.
And they had access to all his notes and things like that weren't necessarily put onto the screen, but were there.
So it was phenomenal in the novelization, just like Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. Kirshner wrote it. So that's why it's so strong, because George is an amazing visionary. But he's not an amazing director. He's not an amazing script writer. He's mediocre on those other things.
Yes.
But he's a visionary. And when he hires those people and allows them to flourish, under his direction,
Yeah.
that's where the magic happens.
And he was like that. I liken him to, and with the stuff he did with the original Star Wars trilogy, is he was like Henry Ford. Henry Ford
Yeah.
was interviewed by a journalist, and the journalist came and asked him all these questions about stuff. He goes, "Well, can you tell me, since you this great brilliant man of this company, can you tell me about such and such?" His phone calls a guy in, tell him about this. He does it like 4 or 5 times, and the guy goes, "Oh, so you don't know anything?" He goes, "I don't have to know everything. I just have to know where I have the information at."
Right.
And I use that in my daily life all the time. I did that back in sales. People are like, "Well, do you know everything?" I said, "No, but I know where to find the information that I need." So,
Right.
and that's the whole thing. So,
and a really important part of being an amazing leader is knowing what you can't do.
right.
And getting the people who can.
Exactly.
And not letting ego get in the way of saying, well, I have to be perfect at everything and I'm not going to defer to somebody better.
Right.
So
you have to be willing to be to still be able to be teachable even as a leader.
Yeah.
So
should we talk briefly about Ahsoka, or what do you want to do?
Let's hold Ahsoka off till next week, and then we can cover the last 2 episodes together.
Okay.
Since this week was the finale.
Yep.
And that way, we don't try to get too much into what happened today versus last week.
Yep.
But I liked it. It went the way Scott and I have talked off air about it. Mm-hmm. And I know there's going to be a lot of criticism, but at the same time, this was never billed as a one and done.
Correct.
So we'll see. We'll talk more. So we'll cover Ahsoka pretty good next week.
All right.
Hey, good show. We ran over a little bit, but who cares? We don't have to pay anybody extra now. All right.
All right. Have a good week.
See you next week.